Well, let's go over to the United Kingdom, where researchers say they are seeing some waning of protection against COVID-19 infections in double-jabbed people. The real-world study includes data on positive COVID PCR test results between May and July this year among more than 1 million people who had received 2 doses of Pfizer or the AstraZeneca vaccine. Protection after 2 shots of Pfizer decreased from 88% at 1 month to 74% at 5 to 6 months. For AstraZeneca, the fall was from 77% to 67% at 4 to 5 months. Well, joining us right now to talk some more about this is Dr. Etienne Ukorobi, GP Registrar, Worcester Royal Hospital, England. He joins us now virtually. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
All right. Let's start with what we're hearing. About 100 deaths a day on the average in the UK. And this is as I think the UK has vaccinated about even more than 75% of its population. What really is happening?
Well, it is true that in the last 24 hours, about 149 persons have been said to have died after contacting COVID-19, and the UK has vaccinated 77.4% of its population. But I would say, comparing these figures to same time in January, I would say these are still quite low figures. And although the hospital admissions are rising and infection rates are rising gradually, I would say that this also cannot be compared to what we had sometime last year or in January. So, yeah, I would say the vaccine is still working and it's not as bad as it seems.
And another explanation also is needed, because we're hearing statistics that shows that now, among those dying, we're seeing more of the younger population. And so one begins to wonder, is it the Delta variant the issue, or that less of the younger population is actually vaccinated?
I mean, it is true that the vaccination program is gradually being extended to the younger population, and not all of them have been entirely vaccinated. And we also know that the Delta variant is more infectious, as it were, and can cause more serious illnesses. But I would say we've not particularly seen a remarkable difference in terms of the number of young people dying as compared to the older people. I still think from the reports that we've got from the Office of National Statistics, it still shows that more deaths have been from people that are older, so talking about the vulnerable groups and the over 70s. So I would say, yes, we've had records of young people dying to COVID, but I would say the numbers are not alarming.
Tell us about the antibody test, which we hear are widely offered to the UK public for the first time, and how are people open to it?
Well, the UK government has recently rolled out sort of an antibody testing beginning of this week, and it is basically to check for immunity and antibody generation from people who have been infected with COVID. So everyone over the age of 18, when they are having their PCR test done, would be able to opt in to have their antibodies tested. So there are 2 tests basically, and it will be done at home. The first one, as soon as you've found out that you've tested positive, and the second test will then take place 28 days after. And what this tends to achieve, is that it helps us understand better how the antibody protection works. It also lets us know the response that is happening in the wider community or in the wider population. And finally, it will give an opportunity to able to pick out those persons who are not able to mount an antibody response to the COVID virus. And those sets of people can be given what is known as a targeted booster dose to help prevent them from further infections.
Finally, Dr. Kirby, tell us your thoughts about this new data, which seems to suggest that the protection provided by 2 doses of Pfizer, AstraZeneca starts to fade within 6 months.
I mean, it is true that researchers have shown that those who have had double jabs of either the Pfizer vaccine or the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccines starts to reduce after 6 months. So protection from the Pfizer vaccine, it was found out that it starts to fall by about 14% after about 5 months from receiving the second jab of the vaccine, and that of Oxford AstraZeneca falls by about 10%, after receiving the second dose of the vaccine for 3 months. So yes, research has shown that there is a gradual decline in terms of immunity that people have got, and research is still in its early phase. More data needs to be captured to be able to make a conclusion. But if we are to go by the data that we have got, this would mean that people who have received their vaccine much earlier, so talking about the older population and the vulnerable population, might need to be revaccinated or probably given some sort of booster dose. And we might see this continue either annually, as we see with the flu vaccine, or somewhat biannually in a situation where you have one dose at the start of the year and you have another booster dose, towards the end of the year to cover for the winter period.
And since research is still ongoing, it means that we will talk to you sometime in the nearest future. We'd like to thank you for joining us on the program, Dr. Esen Okorobi, GP Registrar at Worcester Royal Hospital, England. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.